I'm telling this from the balcony of our honeymoon suite, watching waves crash against the rocks below, trying to process what just happened. My husband, Lucas, keeps laughing to himself as he sips his drink, probably still thinking about how perfectly everything went. But me? I'm still shaken. Still raw. I guess it's time I told the story of how my family tried to sabotage my wedding, how they tried to hand it over to my sister, and how we took it back. Growing up, I was always the shadow. My sister, Isabel, was the golden light, the miracle child. My parents never said it out loud, but they didn't have to. She was the one they dressed up, bragged about, poured all their time and money into. And me? I was the filler. The other one. The one who should be grateful to even exist in their orbit. If Isabel accused me of something, they believed her. If I had proof she was lying, they found a way to twist it, turn it back on me. She was never wrong. I was never right. My birthdays were a slice of dry cake and a card they forgot to sign. Hers were catered events with clowns, balloons, and enough presents to fill a moving truck. As we grew older, the gap between us grew into a canyon. Isabel stayed home longer, got a car first, never paid rent. When I turned 18, I was told I needed to contribute. Fair's fair, right? And the boys? God, the boys. Anytime I brought a boyfriend home, Isabel would try to flirt with him. One actually told me she cornered him, whispered lies about me in his ear. When he rejected her, she told my parents he tried to kiss her. Guess who got grounded? But I endured. I kept my head down, worked hard, got into college on my own. No help. No praise. I remember the day I got my acceptance letter. I showed it to my mom, and she said, "That's nice, but maybe don't get your hopes up too high." They paid Isabel's tuition in full, bought her a car, paid her rent. And me? I walked to class and ate peanut butter sandwiches for dinner, scraping by on scholarships and part-time jobs. And yet, I still hoped, like an idiot, that maybe they'd be different when it came to something as important as my wedding. Oh, how wrong I was. When Lucas proposed to me, I cried. Not because I was surprised, he had been planning it for months, but because I couldn't believe someone wanted me, really wanted me. Not as an accessory to someone else, not as a side character in someone else's narrative, but as his equal, his wife, his family. We didn't want anything grand. A simple ceremony, close friends, a beautiful honeymoon, that was the dream. Lucas's family is spread out across the country, but mine? Most of them are still in my hometown. So we decided to have the wedding there. Save on travel. Make it easier for the elders. It seemed like the right choice at the time. The moment my parents heard we were getting married, they demanded to meet Lucas. I hesitated. God, I really did. Part of me still clung to the foolish belief that they'd changed, that the years had softened them, that they'd smile, hug him, welcome him. Instead, they sat him down like he was a criminal at trial. My mother, with her rehearsed smile. My father, with his stiff handshake. And Isabel, sitting beside them in a white sundress, acting like she owned the air around her. Lucas told me everything afterward. He'd hidden a recorder in his pocket, just in case. But even with proof, it didn't prepare me for what they actually said. They told him they would only contribute financially to our wedding if, and I still feel nauseous repeating it, if Isabel got to walk down the aisle first. In a wedding gown. They said it wouldn't be fair for the younger sister to marry first. Isabel needed to feel special too. She deserved her own moment. So she would walk down the aisle first, in her own dress, with her own mini bouquet, and get her pictures taken. Then I could follow. They were serious. They were smiling when they said it, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. And Isabel? She actually squealed. Squealed like a child handed candy. "It'll be perfect," she said. "People will think we're both brides." So cute, right? I was shaking by the time Lucas told me. My fingers clenched so tight I left crescent-shaped marks in my palm. But Lucas? He just smiled. He kissed my forehead and said, "Let them think they've won. I have a plan." Lucas leaned in close to me that night, still replaying every detail of that twisted conversation in his head. I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't just angry. He was focused. Like a man who had been handed a blueprint for revenge and couldn't wait to bring it to life. "You know what this is, right?" he said. "They don't think you'll say yes. They think I'll tell you, and you'll cry, and we'll cancel. Or beg. Or worse, agree to it and let her steal your moment." I nodded. It wasn't even about the money. I never expected them to help. But this? They wanted to reduce me to a prop in my own wedding. It wasn't about family anymore. It was about control. About proving, one final time, that Isabel's spotlight would always burn brighter than mine, even at my most important milestone. Lucas grinned. Then let's give them the show they're expecting, but not the ending. So that's what we did. He went back the next day with a practiced sigh and told them he was willing to work with them. He pretended to be torn, told them I might lash out if surprised, but would probably stay quiet out of gratitude for their financial help. That I was controlling, sensitive, and not good with conflict. Lies that made my skin crawl, but they ate it up like honey. My parents nodded. Isabel literally clapped. And then we got to work. Over the next few months, Lucas played his part like an actor born for the stage. Every time they met, he fed them bits and pieces. He suggested the aisle trick, that Isabel would walk first, right before I entered, and by the time I even realized what had happened, it would be too late to stop. They loved it. He also pretended that we were cutting corners for budget reasons. Instead of choosing the most expensive catering package, Lucas told them we were settling for the cheaper one. Same with flowers, music, photographer, cake. Every time, Isabel whined, and our parents swooped in to upgrade it for her, and, by extension, for us. We were milking them dry, and they never saw it coming. Meanwhile, I stayed out of sight. I kept my text short. My responses vague. Every time Isabel tried to contact Lucas, I responded as if I had his phone. "Why are you texting my fiancé?" I'd say. "Let me know if you need anything." This solidified the illusion. "She's so jealous," my mother apparently told Lucas. We knew she'd try to ruin this for Isabel. And all the while, the guest list grew. The venue was set, and Lucas quietly hired private security. We were preparing for a wedding, yes. But more than that, we were preparing for war. The day finally arrived. A calm, sunny afternoon. The kind of weather brides pray for. The venue was dressed in soft whites and rich navy blues, our colors, not Isabel's. The air buzzed with excitement and violin strings as guests arrived, none the wiser to the storm quietly forming behind the scenes. I sat in the bridal suite, veil pinned, bouquet trembling slightly in my hands. I wasn't nervous about marrying Lucas. Not in the slightest. I was nervous about the lie we'd built, the one about to explode in full view of everyone we knew. Across the venue, Lucas stood cool and composed. The man was practically glowing. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was his birthday. He gave our private security the final nod. They took their places, one at the main entrance, one near the guest list, and a third posted discreetly where my family wouldn't see him unless things went sideways. We had one clear directive for all of them. Do not let Isabel in. Not in white. Not in anything. My parents had already arrived, smug and self-satisfied. They smiled and waved at guests like royalty. My mother looked proud. My father, distracted, checking his phone every few seconds. Isabel wasn't there yet, but they knew she would be. You see, the real plan they concocted was this. Wait until everyone was seated, then have Isabel walk down the aisle at the exact moment the music began, as if she were the bride. She'd wear a wedding dress, smile for photos, bask in applause. And then, at the very last second, I would be rushed in. Their logic? Once it was done, it was done. I wouldn't dare throw a fit in front of our families. I'd bite my tongue, play along. Because that's what I'd always done. They didn't know me anymore. At exactly 3:54 p.m., Isabel arrived at the gates, wearing a full-length white lace gown, veil and all. Her makeup was flawless, her hair pinned like a princess. And behind her? A small camera crew. She wanted photos. Video. Her moment. When she reached the first security guard and gave her name, he looked her dead in the eye and said, "Sorry. The bride is already inside. You're not on the guest list." Her face paled. "What do you mean? I'm family. I'm the bride's sister." "I don't care if you're the Queen of England," he replied. "No dress code violations. No walk-ins. And no one pretending to be the bride." Her voice turned shrill. My father came storming over. My mother followed. "She's supposed to walk the aisle before the bride," my father shouted. Security raised a brow. "You mean instead of the bride?" Now a crowd had gathered. Guests were craning their necks, murmuring. My father tried to force his way in, only to be blocked by another guard. That's when my husband's friend Alyssa, the one we had stationed nearby, made her move. She marched toward Isabel, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Are you seriously trying to crash your own sister's wedding? In a wedding dress? What kind of sick attention grab is that?" And just like that, chaos erupted. Inside the venue, my bridesmaids were already in position. My dad was supposed to walk me down the aisle. But when the music began, he wasn't there. He was outside, dealing with security. I paused. One of my friends, also in on the plan, texted me, "Go. Now." So I stepped out. No fanfare. No announcement. Just me, walking down the aisle on my own. Gasps followed. Then applause. Then whispers, "Where's her father? Why isn't her sister here?" I kept walking, holding my head high, my smile small but real. And at the end of the aisle, Lucas stood with a grin so wide it practically split his face. I reached him. He whispered, "You're the only bride here. Always were." The ceremony continued without a hitch. My mother and sister never returned. My father tried once, only to be stopped again. This time, guests saw it. After the ceremony, the guests poured out into the garden for champagne and laughter. I could see people checking their phones, whispering about the drama at the gate. Some guests even went to the front just to watch it unfold. Isabel had apparently thrown herself to the ground at one point, crying and screaming. My dad looked ready to commit a felony. My mom kept insisting they were tricked. And Lucas? Oh, he was thriving. He strolled out to them, deadpan, and asked why Isabel was dressed like a bride. They shouted that he had agreed. He said, "Prove it." They couldn't. No texts. No emails. Just their word. He looked confused, shook his head, and said, "You really thought I'd let my wife be disrespected like that? You must not know me at all." Then he turned and walked away. We danced. We toasted. I felt seen for the first time in my life. Not as someone's afterthought or punching bag, but as someone deserving of happiness. Later, Lucas showed me a message from Isabel, unhinged, bitter, and filled with jealousy. He screenshotted it. Sent it to the family group chat along with proof of their harassment. Then he added a message. "Please respect our boundaries. This day was ours. You had no right to try and steal it. From now on, you will have no role in our lives unless you choose to apologize, not for being upset, but for being cruel." Silence followed. And for the first time, I knew peace. It's been 3 months since the wedding. 3 months since the most surreal, humiliating, and, dare I say it, liberating day of my life. I'm writing this from the comfort of our new home. A quiet little place just outside the city, where the only noise is birdsong and the occasional laugh from Lucas as he burns toast again. We needed the distance. From the town, from the whispers, from my family. From the trauma we buried so deep we thought we'd forgotten it. But it doesn't forget you. For the first few weeks after the wedding, there was silence. No calls. No messages. Not even the usual passive-aggressive, "hope you're well" emails. My parents were humiliated, publicly exposed for their years of favoritism and cruelty. They lost control of the narrative. And they knew it. But that didn't mean they were done. One day, I received a letter in the mail. Handwritten. From my mother. It wasn't an apology. It was a plea. She said she didn't understand how things spiraled so far. That they never meant for it to get out of hand. She claimed that Isabel was hurting deeply, and that I, as her sister, should be the bigger person. She wrote that family is everything. That my wedding was supposed to be a celebration, not a staged act of vengeance. She said I embarrassed them in front of the entire community. And she ended the letter with, "You've made your point. It's time to come home and make things right." I stared at those words for a long time. Make things right. Not once did she acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, they were the ones who needed to make amends. I didn't respond. Lucas has been my rock. He calls me the Queen of Calm Rage now. Says I have a stare that could freeze lava when I talk about my sister. And Isabel? She's spiraling. We heard through mutual acquaintances that she's lost her job. That she's still living with our parents. That she's been telling anyone who will listen that I stole her moment, that Lucas manipulated her parents, that they were the victims of some cruel, elaborate prank. Some people believe her, but most don't, because they saw the footage. They heard her screaming at security, throwing herself on the ground in a white gown outside someone else's wedding. No one forgets that kind of thing. She became a punchline in our hometown, and I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Since then, I've started therapy. For the first time in my life, I'm unraveling years of emotional neglect, favoritism, and internalized shame. There are nights I still cry for the child I used to be. The one who never got birthday parties, who was blamed for everything, who begged for love that never came. But then I look at Lucas, asleep beside me, and I feel something else. Safety. I feel seen. I feel chosen. Not out of obligation, but out of love. We've decided to start trying for a baby. It's early days, and we're in no rush. But for the first time, the thought of being a mother doesn't scare me, because I know I will never be her. I will never make my child feel like an afterthought. I will never let history repeat itself. My father did eventually try to reach out. Not to me, but to Lucas. He sent a short, bitter message, calling him a snake and a con artist, blaming him for poisoning me against the family. Lucas just laughed and blocked him. Tell your dad, he said with a wink, that this snake has fangs. The rest of my extended family? They've rallied behind us. My cousins, my childhood lifeline, have invited us to every holiday since. And for the first time in decades, I feel like part of a real family. One built on kindness, not control. Will I ever forgive my parents? Maybe, but I will never forget. And I will never let them close enough to hurt me again. As for Isabel, I don't know what her future holds. I hope she finds help. I hope she finds peace. But I also know that her actions have consequences. She wasn't just trying to wear white. She was trying to erase me. And I'm done letting anyone do that. So here we are. A girl with no birthday cake growing up finally got her dream wedding. Not because of her parents, but in spite of them. And that is the greatest revenge of all.